but we always knew who Joe was. Everybody tried to convince us he was new, but even in terms of, listen, I'm not taking a side right now. I'm not saying I'm talking about. This is a political lesson about what we need to do. We got to stop just doing whatever they say to. Well, black women, it hurts you more. Yeah, I'm not saying it does or it doesn't, but understand when people are trying to use you. This man had a view that he came out and said, well, I feel differently now. Just like Obama came out and said, well, I feel differently about gay marriage. Yeah, you felt differently about gay marriage, Obama. When the bundlers of your campaign and all that money just turned out to be a lot of gay men, you felt real differently. People feel real differently when the money feel real differently, when the pressure feel real differently. Now, we don't have money, so we got to have pressure. But let's go back to who Joe Biden is. When Joe Biden voted to let states overturn Roe v. Wade, did y'all think, women, let me talk to any of y'all, those of you who are here, who are pro-choice, who are upset, white women, if you're here, come close to me, come round the fire. Come. Did you think that this man had changed? Did you think if Roe got overturned that this man was going to be your champion? Because we tried to tell you, this is Jim Crow Joe. He was opposed to busting and all this kind of stuff. He ain't going to do nothing. He was mass incarceration. He ain't going to do nothing for us. But y'all thought, yeah, well, if it happens to y'all, Negroes, if it happens to y'all, that whatever. We don't really care too much. We just try to make sure it don't happen to us. But guess what? It did. It happened to y'all, and he has no answer. But let me just show you. Let me show you. A lot of times, whoever a person was is who they is. Who a person was is who they is a lot of the time. Most people don't change. Most people don't have the capacity to change. They have the capacity to put on a performance. People have the capacity to put on a performance. They do not have the capacity to change most of the time, especially a politician. They're changing because the pressure is changed. So listen, it was a new era in Washington, 1981, and abortion rights activists were terrified. With an anti-abortion president, Ronald Reagan, in power and Republicans controlling the Senate for the first time in decades, social conservatives pushed for a constitutional amendment to allow individual states to overturn Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court ruling that had made abortion legal nationwide several years earlier. The amendment, which the National Abortion Rights Action League called the most devastating attack on abortion rights yet, cleared a key hurdle in the Senate Judiciary Committee in March 1982. Support came not only from Republicans, but from a 39-year-old second-term Democrat named Joseph R. Biden Jr. I'm probably a victim or a product, however you want to phrase it, of my background. Mr. Biden, a Roman Catholic, said at the time, the decision, he said, was the single most difficult vote I've cast as a U.S. Senator. The bill never made it to the full Senate, and when it came back the following year, Mr. Biden voted against it. His back and forth over abortion would become a hallmark of his political career. Now let me just pause right there. White women, and anybody who thought Joe Biden was going to be the one to stand up for anything. This man is center right. Did you thought anybody who is pro-choice? Did y'all think this man, the same way we told y'all he wasn't gonna stand up for racial reparations, racial equality? We told y'all none of that stuff was gonna happen because that's who he is. Did you think this man who the hallmark of his political career, is waffling on abortion? You thought that was the one you got to go for? Let's get this next quote in. Mr. Biden entered the Senate in 1973 as a 30-year-old practicing Catholic who soon concluded that the Supreme Court went too far on abortion rights in the Roe case. He told an interviewer the following year that a woman shouldn't have the sole right to say what should happen to her body. By the time he left the vice president's mansion in early 2017, he was a 74-year-old who argued far different view, that the government doesn't have a right to tell other people that women, they can't control their bodies. And let me tell you something. I want you to think about this for a second. People don't get more liberal as they get older. People tend to get more conservative. So either Joe Biden is sort of an anomaly or he's not telling the truth. And he's just been pressured. In the same way Bernie Sanders got pressured when he started talking about immigrant labor, when it's a tool of capital. Those people, get exploited when they come over the Mexican border as well because they don't have papers, don't have whatever. Bernie used to understand that. Yes, this is white capital exploiting labor. All of a sudden, he don't understand it no more. Just like he was never on the side of ADOS, this man was never on the side of like women's rights and to have an abortion. Regardless of how you feel about it, take your emotions out of this for a second and think about this just in terms of political theory, because political science is a science. Those of you who decided that this old man who just fell off of the bicycle was somehow this liberal bastion, y'all allowed yourselves to be convinced of the fact or the thought that this man was very, very liberal and he was going to protect X, Y, and Z. This is an old man. And we have to, at some point, too, stop being governed by octogenarians who can't walk flights of steps. At some point. There are things that need to happen that are not happening. There are thoughts that need to be thought that are not being thought. Well, Trump gave us, yeah, and even though we said, you know, Democratic down ballot, because you have to start teaching these people a lesson. But y'all didn't, the people didn't do it. Y'all voted. ADOS, black people voted for the Democrat ticket. Everybody else got to be free. Hispanics, white people, white women especially. Y'all got to do whatever you want. And y'all picked the octogenarian who has waffled on this forever. Ooh, that's so much in here about theory.